President Donald Trump is expanding access to in vitro fertilization drugs. The move includes a partnership with drug companies and the expansion of insurance options.
We're also taking historic steps to vastly expand access to insurance coverage for fertility care, including IVF, something that, as you know, was not covered. Effective immediately, for the first time ever, we will make it legal for companies to offer supplemental insurance plans specifically for fertility.
The president says the result will be healthier babies and many more beautiful American children. In vitro fertilization is against church teaching. The March for Life applauded the White House focus on children and fertility, but added, quote, "We continue to encourage any federal government policymaking surrounding IVF to prioritize protecting human life in its earliest stages and to fully align with basic standards of medical ethics." For more, we turn to Emma Waters, policy analyst at the Center for Technology and the Human Person at the Heritage Foundation. Emma, great to be with you. There's a lot to unpack, including why there might be some good news in this announcement. But first, as we mentioned, the Catholic Church strongly opposes in vitro fertilization. How should the faithful react to the president's expansion of IVF?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. And I think we certainly have to begin this conversation recognizing that any expansion of IVF means that there are going to be more human embryos that are created and destroyed every year. Basic estimates that we have, and they're only basic estimates because we don't actually track how many embryos are created every year in the United States, show that as many as 97% of all embryos created in IVF never reach to a live birth, which means that IVF only has around a 3% success rate. And so that tragedy is something that we cannot ignore. And yet at the same time, the president's approach to fulfilling his campaign promise and addressing this IVF report, I think is incredibly brilliant on his part. He has not buddied up to the fertility industry, and this is not boosting the underregulated and unaccountable practices that they're endorsing. But instead, the report did two things. First, it lowered drug costs through the most favored nation status, implicitly implying that fertility industries have been way overcharging Americans for their fertility benefits so far. And then the second is that the plan enables employers to offer fertility benefit packages. And this is where the key opportunity comes in for those who really promote restorative reproductive medicine or root cause restorative treatments for infertility. And so what this means is that employers now have the right and the ability to put together plans that match their sincerely held beliefs, whether that be religious or health related. So if employers at EWTN want to offer a fertility benefit that focuses on root cause care for infertility and reproductive health conditions, that's now something that you can do without any requirement that you cover IVF or any other services like that. And that's a huge opportunity for those who have really been working hard to expand access to better care for men and women.
Now, the Heritage Foundation was among the groups applauding the president's support of fertility treatment, some of which you've mentioned. Can you tell us more about these programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So with restorative reproductive medicine, this is looking at a distinct approach to treating infertility that includes things like monthly cycle charting, sometimes even as much as every day, hormonal treatments, lifestyle and dietary fixes, medical interventions, and even surgical interventions for conditions like endometriosis or blocked fallopian tubes. And so this is a whole person approach that addresses both the health of men and women. And the studies behind it are so encouraging. So 4 studies that have been done just in the last couple of years alone show that couples who are undergoing treatments for restorative reproductive medicine have anywhere between a 30% and a 50% success rate for having a live birth, having a child. And this means that when they're being treated through restorative reproductive medicine, they are empowered to then have as many children as they desire and the Lord chooses to give them. They don't have to restart an expensive and incredibly difficult process like you do with IVF. So the opportunities here for good root cause care for infertility are huge. And thankfully, the science backs this up. And so this is really an opportunity for so many doctors across the United States and employers to really step up and further expand the care that they've been offering to meet this cultural moment.
It's very encouraging. Now, something that's been making the headlines are fertility rates. Just how dire are the fertility rates in the United States? And what advice would you give to White House on improving the birth rate?
There is no single cause for declining birth rates, and they are declining significantly to 1.6 children on average per woman, which is well below the replacement rate of 2.1 children. And this is something that's affecting every aspect of society, but there's not a single thing that we can point to. It's not just finances, it's not just poor housing, it's not just cultural changes. It's all of those things taken together. So I think the big thing that I would encourage the White House and other elected representatives to focus on is one, our emphasis must be on promoting family formation, not just more babies, because ultimately children do best, and there are most likely to be more children born when you have an established married family at the heart of this. And that second, that we should really take a whole government approach. So we should be looking at removing any penalties to marriage and children, and then promoting the success of families. So improving housing options across the United States, finding creative ways to provide support financially for families who are undergoing the very heroic and self-sacrificial process of having children. And then also continuing to do things like centralizing children in our messaging and cultural conversations. I think the fact that Vice President J.D. Vance brings his children so many places, shows them coming off of Air Force One, messing with their mother's hair at the inauguration, are some of the most humanizing and relatable moments that are really encouraging Americans to think of children as a public good and not just a private burden.
Well, Emma, thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course, thanks for having me.